So Street Fighter V, new update, huh? We officially have the input delay update in our hands, and I guess things have improved. Things have improved a little bit. Here, let's go ahead and take a look here. So let's check this out. So, thank you very much, Matoaja. Thank you. Appreciate the 9 months in a row. But check this out. We have gone from 5.3 frames of input delay on average to 4.4 frames. 4.4 frames. So that's an overall an improvement on average of 0.9 frames. So that's actually nothing to scoff at. It's not game changing. It's probably not even noticeable. I spent a few minutes in training mode messing around with the game a little bit, just moving around and trying to like meaty Zeku, quick rise and back roll 3-frame jab, because that's very hard to react to the different animations, and it didn't feel too much of a difference. Not too much of a difference yet. But if we look at the numbers, hey David, thanks for the 11 months. So that's 0.9 frames difference from a baseline of 5.3 frames of input delay. That's an improvement of 17% if you really do the numbers. It's less than a frame on average, but 17% is not bad for an improvement. It might not be noticeable, but it's not bad. If you want to see the test, I definitely suggest you check out WYDD. Not sure how you're supposed to say that, but his Twitter is a goldmine for the technical findings and kind of under the hood mechanics of Street Fighter V. He put out a lot of tools and a lot of very informative posts about what's actually happening with this game. So as far as I'm concerned, his testing right now is like the gold standard for input delay. And what we also find is that input delay cycle that we had noticed, or that WIDD reported, I think that's gone. There's 77% stability with the amount of input delay going on, that's a huge improvement. That's almost 100% improvement in terms of stability. But I mean, it's still not that stable relative to other high-performing fighting games. So we're definitely not A tier. See, what did he give? Rank B plus. Still not A tier, not S tier in terms of performance, but it's better. It's better. Will it change the meta? I don't think so. I think there will be small interactions that are modified that might lead to big results, but nothing that we will be able to directly contribute to input delay reduction. And if you really break it down, most of the interactions in this game have little to do with input delay, or not most of them, but a majority of them have little to do with input delay. You're still forced to guess. The moment you're knocked down, you're still guessing. You're still trying to play footsies with stubby normals with the risk of crush counters happening. You're still wish punishing half the moves in this game. Not much is changing here. What might change? Your success rate of walk and blocking booms from Guile. The success rate of blocking that overhead last second. The success rate of, I don't know, walking and blocking Balrog dash punch? Probably not. Probably not. There's a lot of things in this game that they're just not designed for humans to react to. If you look at the dashes in this game especially, the dashes usually are within the reactable human range, but what makes them so powerful is not just the speed of them. The animations are very deceptive. So dashes like Balrog's, I believe, are 17 frame startup, or maybe even 16 frames, but the biggest strength of a dash like Balrog or Armika, and a lot of them follow this design philosophy where the first startup frames, you don't really see the animation occur. They kind of sit in one spot, and then the last few frames are when the actual movement occurs, right before they recover so they can crush counter you. So input delay is not going to improve these animations. These animations are designed to be deceptive. It's by design that people can play neutral in this fashion, where they make you either preemptively press buttons to check dashes because you're kind of guessing the dash is occurring, or you're respecting their space control, their normals or crush counters, and then you let them dash up because you don't want to risk it. That's still the main design of the game. I don't think that's changing at all. I don't think much about that is going to differ in this version. But what might change for Balrog? Let's talk about it. What I think the number one improvement will be with this kind of change is the hit confirmability of a lot of setups. So there's two types of interactions I'm thinking about when it comes to less input delay. The main one I'm thinking about is being able to react to people's quick rise and back roll. I think that's the biggest thing, because it can be very ambiguous with certain characters. Not necessarily Nikali, but characters like Cammy, Ibuki, Zeku. It can be hard to tell which way they're getting up. A good way to practice this is just have the recovery set to randomly perform a recovery on knockdown. So this way they always quick rise or back roll. And I mean, just practicing this from a knockdown where you don't really get a setup, and just practicing your meaty timing. See, even then, I still not perfect. See, the animations are still kind of wonky. You still got to work on the timing. I almost got the perfect meaty there, but I think this is like one of the most important changes that's occurring. So for setups where you don't get this guaranteed meaty, I really think this is going to improve a tiny bit. You might, on average, be hit by a wake-up jab a little bit less when you're trying to chase down people, like you do a dash low, and you're not sure which way they're going to tech. Against 3-frame jab characters, you don't have a guaranteed setup here. I think there's more value in practicing these meaties when you have the dummy set to quick rise or back roll from all your knockdowns where you don't really get that guaranteed setup. So for Balrog, that's usually on characters with a crouching 3-frame, and on like sweep knockdown, on dash low knockdown, and on target combo knockdown. Basically everything for 3-frame crouching. You don't really get your guaranteed meaty. So now what you can do is you can do your approaches that would allow you to get a safe meaty on 3-frame, right? So if I dash up here, I can either press medium kick to meaty quick rise 3-frame, but if they back roll, it whiffs, right? So that quick rise, that meaty to quick rise. They back roll, it whiffs, I get jabbed. So if they back roll, you can, on the same timing, press heavy kick to meaty them. Just a basic example. So now you can practice this sort of a situation. And then if you get that really consistent, that's really valuable in the heat of a match, not messing up your meaty, and also doing a meaty that's very rewarding, right? Because if they back roll and you think they're going to press a jab, you want to be able to get that heavy kick crush counter. That's the best reward you're going to get. But you also want to be able to react to the quick rise animation. So I think there's more value in practicing these situations and working on reactions per character, because what you're really trying to do is react to each individual character's animation, and you have 0.9 frames on average more leniency in getting this meaty going. I think at a certain point it's not that valuable in practicing. It's not that valuable if there's too much input delay, because by the time you get the visual cue, you press your button. In reality, the game is actually registering that 5 frames later, and you end up getting counter hit by a wake up 3-frame. So that's a big change, and I think that really improves Balrog, and it's more of a general design change for all characters, but Balrog has very strong meaties on quick rise from like every knockdown, and all you have to do is alter the button you're pressing to cover the back roll. From every knockdown he gets that, right? And he he covered standing 3 frames. So Nikali's doing standing 3 frame. If I did like EX dash punch, I just had to do this certain approach. I do medium punch V skill cancel, and I do standing medium punch. And this would be standing quick rise or back roll. But if they did a crouching 3 frame on back roll, it whiffs. So that meant like a lot of characters that have this crouching 3 frame, that option kind of just went out the window, right? Yeah, so if they do that, just whiffs. It just whiffs. So you have more of an incentive to still go for these approaches and just alter the button you're pressing, because it's within the human reactable range, I think, at this point. So that's a big change. The other improvement, I think, for Balrog is being able to hit confirm what the opponent did on wake up once you did your meaty setup, because Balrog has a lot of meaty options where if they block the meaty, it allows you to immediately throw them, and it's like a perfectly timed tick throw. For instance, if I did crouching strong and they blocked, I'm +2 and in their grill, and that sets me up for a throw. But if it hits them, you know, you get pushed out for the throw. You're too plus to throw them anyways, and you're too far. If they block it, you throw them. So what do you want to do? You want to be able to hit confirm if that was blocked or not. So if you see a block, you should go into the throw. If you see a hit, you should go into the combo. So I think practicing this is actually going to be a lot more worthwhile too, because I've definitely lost tournament matches where something like this happens, where I try to do a jab tick throw on their wake up, and they actually got counter hit. So because they got counter hit, my throw doesn't work, and then they immediately delay teched after my throw whiffed, and then they throw me into the corner. Where if I was able to see that counter hit in time, I would be able to confirm that to big damage. Now, is this really in the human reactable range? No, not really. But I think with crouching strong, it is. It gives you more time to see what's going on here. If I can actually do it. But I think practicing this is actually worthwhile now. And when do you do that, right? You do this when you get these kind of knockdowns where you just walk into them. So that complements being able to react to the tech. So on these kind of knockdowns where I have them in the corner and I'm just walking to their body, I manually time that meaty, because it sets up a situation where if they happen to block. Here, let me record. Yeah, there we go. So he might just block. You want to be able to hit confirm that. So you could set the dummy to do wake up jab, wake up jump, or wake up block. So that'll give you both block, counter hit, and non-counter hit, because you have different confirmable options from crouching strong. If you want to be safe, you just do crouching strong to jab. That's the easiest one to confirm. But if it's counter hit, you can do medium to medium, and you can even get this combo, which leads to another like take throw type scenario. So I think recording those type of options and then practicing these hit confirms is going to be very valuable. So sometimes people like to jump out of the corner. So if you knock them down, they jump out, right? So if I knock them down, let me turn counter hit off. What you want to do is meaty them, right? See, I pinned him down, even though he's holding up forward on wake up. So now, this setup, which allows different routes based on the opponent's option they choose, now you can practice, right? Oh, that didn't counter hit. See, I messed up. But this is actually something I think you can work on and then improve on this. And this will allow you to not have any of those situations where you went for throw in a situation like people autopilot take throws. And when that goes wrong and you hit the opponent, you can whiff your throw and just die. Or you're gonna get back thrown because they delay tech and they whiff punish your whiff throw with a back throw into the corner, and then you lose the whole set. So I think this is something that's actually gonna be very improved for Balrog. This sort of meaty interaction. See, now you can work on hit confirming it. It was possible before, but when you're playing a really fast-paced match and these situations happen out of the blue, you can't afford to make these mistakes. And I think this consistency will definitely improve Balrog's gameplay. So those are the main things I can see changing, right? Hit confirms from these confirmable meaty setups. Just being able in general to react to knockdowns and their tech, especially mid-screen. Doing knockdowns like from the dash lows. I think that's gonna greatly improve your hit confirmability or your tech reaction confirmability. Things like anti-airs, footsies, blocks, that's really hard to say. That's something you're just gonna feel, and it might improve your success in any of those interactions a tiny bit. So I don't know if that's gonna improve for Balrog too much. I'll quickly go over the character select screen and kind of give a plus or minus and how I think matchups might change based on this. Just quick highlights of what I think. But in general, I think those are the biggest positives to Balrog's gameplay. Now, the negatives. Balrog has a lot of dumb, unreactable stuff. That's kind of a huge part of his gameplay. His dash, extremely fast, really hard to react to. He has a very powerful overhead that comes from a spin that you can cancel and go low. This stuff is going to be a little bit easier to stuff. Is it still going to work? Definitely. It's definitely still going to work. There's no human who's going to always defend against this sort of thing. What I think people will get better at now, though, is jabbing. Like, if you're doing stuff like this, which you'd be surprised, like some players, I get away with that all day, and I pick up on that habit, and I just keep doing spin. Like that. Now, I think people will attempt to jab you out of these types of approaches more often and have a little bit more success in that. Random overhead, that's still going to work. Every once in a while, it's going to get blocked. Overall, I think these tactics are still going to be viable. It's not going to change. It's only one frame difference, and people are getting hit by this now. I mean, I dance on some people. I just do all sorts of shenanigans, you know? And it's still going to work. It's not going to magically save players who couldn't anticipate this stuff before, because most of that is anticipation. It's not really raw reaction, it's mostly anticipation. It's mostly knowing that the cancel's coming and pressing jab to interrupt it. So I think Balrog, I think his offense is going to get cleaner. I think that's the biggest thing for him. He has more hit confirmable situations than people really know. He's not really treated like a hit confirm character, but I think his meaties and crouching strong add a lot of power, especially to his corner gameplay. Allows a lot of safety in what he chooses to do, and gives a lot of mix-up options. So I don't know. I think it's probably a positive overall. Verdict on the lag, feel it at all? No, currently not really. I don't feel things like people were reporting movement feeling crisper. I haven't played any matches yet, but this is not something that you're going to really feel, I don't think. It's something that you might be able to tell in certain situations, but it's not something you're going to feel overall. So I don't think it's like game changing. I think a few minor things might alter. All right, let me go to the character select here. I just want to quickly go through character select and just point out what I think is going to change per matchup. And just guess. I'm just guessing here. I haven't played any of these. So let's see. Definitely a lot of placebo effect. I think most people don't know what the hell's going on. A lot of players right now on Twitter are like saying that they can't hit confirm anything. It's not It's not that they can't hit confirm, that hit confirming is harder now. It's that all your visual cues are going to be a little bit different. You might drop some combos because you're used to pressing the button on a visual cue that's too early now and you have to do it a little bit later. Your brain will just take some time to adapt and get used to it again. It's not, nothing is harder. Hit confirming is definitely easier factually. It's just an adjustment has to be made. So give it some time and everyone will have an easier time hit confirming. It's just a fact. But 0.9 frames is not that much. It is a 17% improvement depending on how you look at it, right? 5.3 to 4.4, but not that much. PC is definitely very different. PC has a much higher input delay reduction, but you know, nobody plays on PC for tournament, so that's, yeah, I'm gonna stay away from talking about that. Okay, Falk matchup. What do we have here? We have a lot of fireballs to V-skill, and that's about it, right? I don't really know too much about Falk. I think it's gonna be easier for Balrog. Manat, you do have to do reaction whiff punishing to her limbs, and her wake up animation is probably one of the hardest to deal with in the game. And that gives her so many wins, just random wake up 3-frame that you can't meaty and she wins. She activates V-trigger and you're screwed. I think this is going to improve for Balrog. I don't see, like, Manat is more committal to buttons. She preemptively takes up space and you kind of have to see where she's trying to be. I think this is going to improve for Balrog, not the other way around. Akuma. Akuma, this might be easier for Akuma because he has strong hit confirmable low forwards, Tatsu, which do a lot of corner carry and give him good meaty situations. You might be able to react to standing medium kick, cancel to red fireball easier and get big damage, but I think the average situation, it's better for Akuma. Alex, it's got to be better for Balrog. Alex relies on YOLO gameplay, right? It might not improve that much, but Alex footsies are not going to improve at the same level as Balrog being able to punish dashes and react to approaches. Rashid might improve for Balrog because you're going to have 0.9 more frames to interrupt the fireball cancel strings. It's going to be worth practicing those again. I can't see what would improve for Rashid. Rashid sort of just mauls and dashes in a lot and does strings with gaps in them that humans are incapable of focusing on at all times. That's kind of why Rashid is so strong, and I see that being a tiny bit nerfed. Mika wins when she gets in. If you're able to keep her out better because you're anticipating and reacting to her approaches, it's going to be better for you. I think this is going to improve for Balrog. It's still going to be terrible if you mess up and you get knocked down, but reacting to her dash, reacting to her drop kick, reacting to her splash last second, it's all going to be a little bit easier. A little bit easier, keep in mind. Chun-Li has a very fast dash, has very strong normals and whiff punishing tools, and has hit confirmable low forward to Tatsu. This might be harder. I don't see Balrog having many more opportunities to whiff punish and get in. This might be more difficult for Balrog overall, but probably even. Maybe like more tech for whiff punishing or standing limbs with standing medium punch buffered into dash low or something might come up. But for the most part, I think in general, less input delay is a buff to Chun. Ryu. Hard to say. I only play this matchup versus YOLO online Ryus, and they rely on 90% dashing, so that might be easier to deal with. Overall, I don't see much changing here. Ken, I don't know this for sure. I don't know this for sure, but I really hope his run is easier to deal with. And if that's true, that's a huge change. I feel like Ken's mostly opened me up with hit confirms and run. Hit confirms only stronger Ken players even tend to go for, so that's going to be buffed, and that might be a problem. It's pretty scary playing a good Ken player who every low forward is confirmed into Tatsu, into DP or something. But YOLO Ken play with runs, stopping comebacks might be a bit easier. That's my hope. I don't like characters with runs, so I hope this improves that. I'm going to say it's not going to improve. I think he's getting buffed in hit confirm ability and nerfed in random run ability. Cammy. I think this is going to be worse because the only thing, I haven't tested this yet, if you can more easily identify when she's doing throw, walk up, throw, which you probably can. It's probably not in the range of human reactions. I think it's still probably just a guess on the throw situation. But if you can actually react to that and check more easily, that's huge. Now the downside, she's going to be able to hit confirm so much easier into her drill, which leads her to some of the easiest pressure in the game and puts you in that situation where you just have to guess throw, guess shimmy. She's too fast. I don't see this improving. I see this being worse. I think Cammy's going to be able to play both more solid and more oppressive. Vega. Vega has strong pokes, but they're not strong enough to get a buy in this game. And I think a lot of Vegas rely on fake dash pressure after knockdowns and getting in suddenly with throws and having a very hard to anti-air, in some situations jumping roundhouse and dash up command grab. I think it might honestly make things worse for him because I don't think he doesn't cash out big on whip punishing, even though that's his main strength. Akali. You're still not going to see what's going on when he activates V-Trigger. He moves so fast, his walk speed and his dash. I don't see that improving in 0.9 frames. Maybe I'm wrong. I see this matchup staying the same. Guile, alright. If you can walk and block booms, there's less free damage on the table for Guile. That's it. People aren't going to be able to jump on it in on him more. That's still a guess. I might be able to more consistently V-skill around booms and walk and block and time neutral jumps, but overall, probably the same. Maybe a little bit less free damage for Guile players, for people unable to walk and block. Colleen. The biggest problem with Colleen is V-Trigger 2 is just insane, and she does have full screen like dash pressure with Colleen in V-Trigger 2, and I don't think checking it is always an option depending on how she approaches. Sometimes she can just like cancel in your face and hit you with a button. What I do see improving though is being able to whiff punish standing fierce punch. So if you play the footsie game a bit more and Colleens are thirsty for that standing fierce, you will be able to whiff punish that a bit better. And I might trust my spacing judgment on a block fierce punch, because fierce punch is -4 on block for Colleen. But it's really risky to attempt the punish because the amount of reel back on that normal and the pushback on block makes it very hard to judge if you're actually going to connect with your 4-frame move or 3-frame move. So I think you have a little bit more time to judge the distance and punish it. So overall, mostly the same, but footsies might improve. I think Colleen's has a lot of preemptive buttons that she presses, so it might improve. Zeku. The biggest problem with Zeku is young Zeku, quick rise back roll animation is whack. It's super hard to tell which way he's teching. So I think that might improve. That's pretty much it, right? It's just the only interaction I can see that improving is his quick rise back roll, 3-frame jab in young mode, and the run stop pressure. He has a really fast walk speed as well and good throw range, so a lot of the times he gets big damage by just walk up back throw. So I think you might be able to check him a bit more. I don't see how this improves Zeku at all in the Balrog matchup, besides being able to check Balrog V-skill resets. So I think it might slightly improve for Balrog. Cody. I don't see any difference. He's going to get in with the EX Zonk. He's going to press heavy kick, which has very awkward distance for Balrog to get around. And he's not really like a character you're worried about with punishing either. And his V-Trigger 2, it's not about reaction. I mean, every once in a while he does dash up command grab, which is still going to work. But he gets by in matchups, I think, with V-Trigger 2 unblockables pretty much. You know, it's 50-50. He's a 50-50 character in this game, and that's still going to be the case. G. G. I'm not sure what to think about G. He has very, very strong light buffers. Very strong light buffers, and his dash is not that great, but it works every once in a while. I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be easier to know when to challenge with bigger buttons, because what G does a lot to get the party started these days is, while his command grab is very, very slow, it has a lot of range, and you're able to use command grab at a range where light punches whiff. So a lot of the times G players just kind of walk up and your jab just whiffs and he command grabs you and kills you. So maybe you'll be more ready to press a longer range button with slower startup. I'm not sure. He's still got an activate V trigger in 50-50U and kill you in one guess. Sakura. She has very scary walk-up throw pressure, which will still be good. And her footsies aren't that great. She has good walk speed, so she might get better whiff punishes on you, but I just think if I can identify when she's walking and check her with buttons, that's better for Balrog. That's how she gets all her damage, I feel like. It's just walking up, conditioning you to block, then walk up throw. Ed. You will be able to tap through his V-skill grab more easily without getting mixed up by his standing heavy punch. That's kind of the mix-up, is the heavy punch and the grab look the same. Tap will go around the grab, and the heavy punch will hit you. Other than that, I don't know. I think this might be about the same. Ed has very solid buttons and footsies. He's not really dashing in your face. He's just playing a very strong neutral game. So I think this will be the same, or slight advantage to Ed. Jury's dash is kind of ridiculous, so being able to check that more will be easier. Being able to more comfortably decide what you're going to do after the store. A lot of the times Jury players do strings into store and she's negative. We have to press a button right away and at the right range to hit her, and then they do like a buffer because they know your jab is going to be late, or you're going to whiff a light and they're going to hit you and get the party started. Overall, I think this will be better for Balrog. Just more easier to check her. Ibuki. Ibuki. The number one thing I'm already thinking is just quick rise, back roll 3-frame. That is so hard to deal with. It's still going to be hard to deal with. It might be a little bit easier, but she gets a lot of mileage off of that. Just moving around and then pressing buttons and then teching a different way than you expect, and you die. She's still ridiculous. Maybe dealing with her V-skill might be a little bit easier. That's such a powerful tool she has right now to avoid all your strings. Balrog actually can V-skill around her V-skill. It's a projectile. The problem is, if you do the V-skill P too early, it runs out of invincibility and gets clipped at the end. And if you do the V-skill kick, the overhead, which has more invincibility, sometimes it's too slow and it gets hit. So it's a hard balance to find. So maybe when you're up close, you can react to it a little bit better. So that's an interesting matchup to see how it plays out. Overall, I don't see Ibuki's doing hit confirms for the most part. It's kind of just mixed and ridiculous buttons in neutral. So I think that might be a little bit improved. Laura. It's got to be better. It must be better, right? Right, chat room? What do you guys think? It might not be better. What do you do versus Laura? You have to react to her clap charges and sweep it in neutral, or if she does it in a block string, you have to be very careful to gauge if you're close enough to press a button or not. You have to be able to check her command dashes. You have to be able to react to dash up command grab after regular command grab. You have to be able to react to her overhead resets. She does rely a lot on you not reacting, but at the same time, she also has a lot of options that are just real. They're solid and they lead to crazy damage. and you're still not going to be able to always react. How much better it's going to be? Maybe tiny bit. I hope it's better. Please God. Geef. This one I've been thinking about a decent amount. So what is the goal of Geef versus Balrog? Geef is trying to get in at all costs, land an SPD, and get the mix going, right? So you are trying to keep him out. But at the same time, you can't always just sit back to keep him out, because then he'll just walk you down to the corner. And because of that, traditionally you would use dash punches to keep people to respect your space. What's up, Sherpa? Thank you for the 23 months. But Geef is different. You can't use dash punches to protect the space, because he's just gonna flex the dash punch and then he's gonna land an SPD and get the vortex started. So dash punching on Geef is such a risk. I regret it like 90% of the time. So what do? To stop flexing, you dash up and throw him. If he's already committed to a flex, you can dash up and throw him to punish. So in a weird way, I'm both trying to keep Geef out, then every once in a while check his flex by dashing up and throwing him. So does that mean it's going to improve for Balrog? Maybe. I might be able to react to his dash more easily, anti-air him more easily, have an easier time with punishing a stand fierce. But on the other hand, he might be able to check my dashes more easily as well. Maybe he'll do less preemptive flexes and just he'll look for me to dash, then he'll jab my dash and then reset to a heavier EX SPD, then I die. So I think overall it might be better for Balrog, but there is a chance that it just buffs his flex to the point where I'm scared to stop him from flexing, and then I just get walked to the corner. Karen's gonna be a nightmare, bro. This is nothing but buffs for Karen, dude. All she does is take confirm her ridiculous buttons from every range and did crazy damage. I never thought Karen was that bad in this version. I think she only lost mostly her jab, Tenko reset, and a few other tools, but she has her anti-airs buffed, so you can't just jump on her to make her think twice about whiffing buttons on the ground. Standing Fierce Punch, her new anti-air option, is very strong from like a more further distance range, and that's good against Rog because Rog doesn't have a cross up, so he can't threaten jump when he's up close. And she has very strong walk speed, so if you jump when she's too close, she just walks underneath you. So if you are going to jump to like bait out a button, you're going to jump from far away, and that's the perfect range for her to Standing Fierce Punch, right? So that means you want to play on the ground more often, and what that means is she has more frames, more time to hit confirm all her buttons and footsies to massive damage. In return, you get nothing. I don't think you get anything in return. I don't think you're going to be able to whiff punish her crouching medium kick better, her standing heavy kick better, her standing medium punch, and her standing medium kick is just going to harass you. Like, I don't think this is going to improve at all. Karen players everywhere rejoice. Welcome back, Punk. Nash. Nash has some solid buttons and footsies, but he also kind of relies on you not reacting still. He still has a good dash, and his scythe, he just throws it out. If you can walk and block scythe, I'm going to have an easier time punishing that, because you can punish that with light kick upper. Reversal on block, you just buffer DP and do it. Sometimes it's hard to do reversal when you block it last second and aren't ready for it, so I think that's going to get easier. 4-frame jab, he has to hold my pressure. I think this is the same or maybe slightly improved for Balrog. Bison. Checking dash is easier. That's going to exist. Anticipating down forward fierce might be better. Overall, his solid plus frame buttons are still solid. They don't rely on you not reacting for the most part, I think. I think they're kind of just, they're solid frame traps and you have to hold the pressure. What might be easier is dealing with his Standing Fierce. What he does with Standing Fierce often is he buffers the swipe move to the ball. If he does like the heavy ball or I forget which version of it is, but either it's a tighter string or it's a string with a gap, you can actually V-skill around that cancel to the cycle ball. So this might let you react to the cancel more easily and like do like V-skill overhead, for instance, and get in and get a combo going. So some things might be easier. Will anything improve for him? Maybe. He can check Balrog going nuts, which I think Balrog wants to do in this matchup from time to time because Bison is just so solid. But Balrog might gain more than Bison gets with an input delay reduction. Birdie. Birdie players, I don't think they whiff punish with standing medium punch. They just do it and then they hit confirm. Like they decide to buffer or not based on what they saw on screen. I think you just do it. You do standing medium punch and then you kind of just buffer the bullhead and decide on the fly, right? So I don't see their footsies improving. You already cannot jump at Birdie, so who cares about that? What will be easier? Birdie has a lot of shenanigans that rely on you not reacting, right? EX Dolphin Dive, every once in a while dash up command grab, random EX Bullhead. You're not going to deal with these all the time, but I think you're going to be a little bit less stressed mentally. You might anti-air him a little bit easier. You know, his jumping heavy kick for Balrog is so hard to deal with. If he does far distance early jump heavy kick, it makes your button anti-airs whiff, so you have to rely on doing DP. It might be a little bit easier. This might be more of a wish than a guess, but I wish it to be easier for Balrog. Dalsum. Dalsum's a character that I also think just preemptively presses buttons to control space like Manat, and he already has anti-air jab, which he doesn't mess up. You don't get jump ins on Dalsum unless they really messed up, and I don't think that's something you expect to happen that much. You kind of just jump every once in a while just to see if he preemptively pressed a button. So if anything, this might be easier overall because you might be able to whiff punish some of his limbs more often and react to his teleport mix-ups. In case you find yourself in a teleport mix-up situation, might be easier to not get vortexes. Don't get fooled. This is a vortex character. This is a cheap vortex character who also zones. So dealing with this vortex, I think, might be a little bit easier. Now, Dalsum players are also like the best jab mashers in the world, so they're gonna have an easier time checking your V-skill reset bullshit. So that's a plus for Dalsum. So I think it's gonna stay the same. I don't see this matchup changing either way. I think the ability for Dalsum to mash jab more effectively to check you is pretty much equal to you being able to react to his vortex. Fong. I don't know. What's going to change here? You're not reacting to his setups if he knocks you down. You're just guessing which way he's going. When he lays on the ground and slides all over the place with clouds everywhere, you're not reacting. That's not reaction. That's just matchup knowledge and luck. You might be able to check your V-skill resets better. I think that's about it. I don't think this will change much at all. You're not really whiff punishing him like that. Like his limbs aren't very easy to react to and clip. They don't have the same sort of extended hurt box and a range where Balrog can handle it. Thinking about it, the one thing that might improve for Rog is being able to guesstimate what to do about Coward Crouch. So this is actually kind of a hard matchup for Balrog. I always talk about that. I think Fang's plus frames and the way his normals work, it gives Rog a decently hard time. So one of the biggest offenders is Coward Crouch. He can always do that at a range where you don't really know what to press to interrupt it, and you can sometimes challenge as the move is coming towards you and approaching you, but you have to time it really well and know exactly what to press. So I think if you can react to Coward Crouch better, I actually think that's a huge buff to Rog in the matchup. So this is like a wait and see. Wait and see. All right, the mirror. I'm gonna skip that. I'm gonna let less online Rogs Rog me. Urien is definitely still gonna dash at you. It's his animation. The animation of the dash is so hard to recognize that he's 100% still getting in. Maybe you can deal with it a little bit better. I don't even know, man. That animation is nuts. And when high-level players like Nemo, what they do is they always buffer like a button, or they move around, they crouch, so that the next animation is dash. It makes it really hard to read the dash, and it's mostly a read. You have to read the dash that's coming. I think this might be the same. The other thing to deal with is like EX knee drop, regular knee drop. EX knee drop is so dangerous to anti-air because if you're a little bit off and it trades, you lose so much damage, and he's plus still. So, might be better. Probably not. I think by design, his moves are just for the most part not reactable. EX knee drop, EX chariot tackle, his dash. It's kind of in his design. Wait and see. I don't see it improving for him, though. I don't really feel like he's a footsie character, a whiff punishing character. I think he's kind of setting the pace, and you have to deal with what he's doing. So either it's the same or better for Rog. Abigail. If he can anti-air a little bit easier with parry, that actually might be a problem. A lot of the times you can get pressure and mix him up by doing really close jump-ins, like right before you're about to cross up, and mixing him up that way and dashing at him and just kind of bullying him a bit before he gets V-trigger. It's not really about reactions when you play against this character. There's not much you're trying to react to. So it might even improve for Abigail. I don't see much changing here though. Blanca. I don't see much changing here either. Maybe every once in a while you're going to avoid EX command grab, but that move is not that fast. It's just you're not looking for it. His jump-ins are a little bit wonky, and I always trade anti-air. Maybe I'll get a more consistent anti-air. His Blanc Rainbow Ball is still ridiculous, and I still don't know an answer to consistently deal with it. It's always all over the place. So that's probably going to stay the same. I don't see much changing here. There's not much I can think of that it's going to change in this matchup. Sagat. Mixed bag here. Since Balrog can V-skill fireballs, I think I have a really hard time V-skilling his high tiger shot. It's very fast. So if I can more consistently V-skill up close high tiger shot, it's actually going to be worse for Sagat because I don't really need to jump at him. So I think this might be better for Balrog in the end. Might be better. Sagat's anti-air game is going to improve, but I think the risk reward is still in Balrog's favor. So I'm going to give this one to Rog. And I guess that's it for the matchups. I still don't think that much is going to change. I'm very much a wait and see. I'm taking a wait and see approach to this. I think everyone announcing how it feels, it's probably a lot of placebo effect, and maybe we won't even notice anything in 2 weeks. But it's a welcome change either way. So we'll see how it plays out.